Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. I'm filming this video at the beginning of a typhoon, so if you hear wind blowing and things are knocking, that's because the typhoon's just beginning to get geared up right now. So please don't complain about wind noise in the background. We're dealt the cards that we have to play, so we play them to the best of our ability. Today I want to talk about buying a house in China. It's not the kind of subject you'll see any other expat write about, because most other expats are visitors. Maybe have visited for a long time and are in China for a long time, but very few buy property. They're not like me. And others work for other people, work for companies, maybe a lot of them teach or backpack or explore around. Not like me, I own companies in China. So things are a little bit different for me. And we bought another house yesterday. Surprised to live in shit out of me, but you know, it's been in the making for a while. I'm on day 2 of my affirmations, and they're just hitting left and right. This is one of the core aspects of my affirmation campaigns. Not to collect houses, but to have a house in a certain geographic region for my daughter to attend school in that region. It's a personal issue. I'm sure every single person watching this understands that you have relationships with other people and families, and their priority is the reason why you do and act like you do. They're the driver, the air under your wings. So, I bought another house. This makes 3 in Zhuhai right now. The way I'm going to start off with this little discussion is and I'm going to show you the house and the complex and all of this stuff, because it's unlike anything in the United States or anything in Europe. And the second, but before I get to all that kind of juicy stuff, I want to talk a little bit about the idea that China builds on schedules. China has a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 15-year plan, a 50-year plan, a 100-year plan. And when these plans are laid out, people know they're rock solid. They're not talking like America. We're going to put man on the moon. We're going to put man on Mars. We're going to collect an asteroid and drag it back to the United States. We're going to build high-speed trains. They're not bullshitting. When China says they're going to do something, well, gosh darn it, they do it. They really do. And so, because that, when they make an announcement or two and they say they're going to do something, all the investors inside of China, the bankers, the finance people, the bridge planners, the road planners, everybody just moves like one organization. And there is a thing going on that I mentioned a couple years ago called the Guangzhou Electronic Corridor. A couple of years ago, during the Donald Trump regime in the United States, he decided that he is going to cut off China from IC chip manufacturers. Fat chance. And what China decided to do is say, well, we need to become self-sufficient, you know. So what they did is they decided we're just going to make a corridor from the Hong Kong, Zhuhai, Macau mega city, which is, it's a mega city. Hong Kong, which is 8 million people. Shenzhen, which is 24 million people. Macau, which is 6 million people. Zhuhai, tiny Zhuhai, which is only a couple of million people. Go up through Zhongshan and connect with the Guangzhou city, mega city complex. Give you an impression of how big this region is. New York City has a population of 6 million. You have no idea the scale that you're dealing with right now. So this roadway, this big swath of territory from Hong Kong all the way to Guangzhou is now to be populated with this super Silicon Valley. And I mean super Silicon Valley, I'm referring, of course, to the United States Silicon Valley, where tech oligarchs grew out of San Francisco, went into the orange groves of California, and started building software companies. That was Silicon Valley. To give you a perspective, we're talking Guangzhou corridor is going to be roughly 15 to 20 times larger than Silicon Valley. And there is construction everywhere. As well, throughout China, there's construction all over the place. But in this particular area, it's all high-tech city. And when China says they're going to go start putting things in place there, they don't say, okay, here's a housing development over there, there's a bridge over there, there's a road. No. We're putting a city here, pump. A power station here, pump. Bridges here, high-speed rail there. It's just, and it's just organic. And knowing all this, it's a good idea that as the communities are being built and created, that you buy some property there, because you know that it's going to grow. I bought my house in Shenzhen, China. Shenzhen, of course, is a part of a mega city, and its population is 24 million. When I bought it, I bought a house back in 2003. I paid $40,000 US for it. Its price was going up. It passed the 10 million mark a couple years ago, and then the Chinese government put a cap, because you can't just, prices just can't keep on going rising. But the point is, you buy low. As the area grows and expands, the value of your house becomes a nice looking investment. And so what I want is, as my progeny, as my child gets older, I want her to go to school and be with other kids that are also in this region of growth and advancement. Of course, there's no way that I'm going to be able to buy a house for $40,000 US anymore. These houses are expensive. In fact, I'm going to tell you, these houses in China are more expensive than houses in America. My house that I'm moving to this month, or at the end of this month, that's just across, that's right outside of the Zhuhai border. It's in Zhongshan, and that's just shy of 2 million. The house that I just bought yesterday is 2.7 million. And these are small houses by comparison to American standards. They're 3-bedroom, 2-bath places, but much, much smaller than what you would see in the United States. And they're all part of complexes. And as I've described before, these complexes, China doesn't just like plow over a cornfield like they do in the United States and put houses there like a cookie cutter. They don't do that. Instead, they build these communities, these walled communities. And the one that I just bought into, the one that I'm moving to, and the one I just bought into are big, very, very large walled communities. The one that I'm moving to at the end of this month consists of 14 skyscrapers. Each skyscraper is perhaps 30 to 50 stories high, each one containing about 4 apartments. That comes with schools, police, fire, patrols, bowans, maids, cleaning staff, the whole rigmarole, all within a fenced-in complex. Which is why I wrote and said in my China versus zombie apocalypse scenario is that's why China can control the viruses so well, because everything's walled in and gated up. Everything in China is walls, walls, and walls, and you need access cards to get into them. And this is no example. And this latest house complex that we just bought is bigger. When it's done, I'll probably have maybe 25 skyscrapers. It itself sits within a complex of other complexes. So if you look at it from the air, it looks like this big, humongous city. And actually it is a city. Its population approaches that of Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland. And this is just a small community, people. So when I talk about all this saber-rattling by the United States and the need for them to have war with China, I don't think anybody in the United States totally understands what you're dealing with. China isn't a 1 or 2 cities that you can invade and suppress. China is like everywhere. And all of them have military training. And all of them have access to high-tech weaponry. And all of them are patriotic as all shit. When you start dealing with China, after 100 years of humiliation, they are ready to fucking... They're not going to bloody your goddamn nose. They'll pick you up and torture you and then kill you in a most unglamorous manner. So, while I'm reporting so much about how the United States is going to do this and and Australia's going to do this, and Japan's going to do this, you have no fucking idea what kind of massive dragon you're dealing with, and so I'm not afraid. I'm investing in the future, as well as businesses throughout the world are investing in China. Oh, they may talk up a good storm, United States media and United States publications, but behind closed doors, they're investing in China. And that's the way it is. Let's go have a look-see at the complex that I'm at. We'll start with the map.
对，这是到广州的南站，这边城轨。
广州的话也很近。
对，也很近。啊。然后这里的未来的话，它对接的是深圳的前海。前海这边的话，它铁路公路方虹桥47公里。以后我们半个小时坐车就可以去到前海。
半个小时到深圳。
对，到深圳的一个前海。去到齐云路这边，我给你多看看，可以是非常方便的。就这个还整个最好的大型的，在这里。那我们看一下。 小区、景阳小区，整个珠海教学氛围最浓厚的就是这个区域。七十条，有的，最新的，它只投入2年左右时间。项目在这里很近的，在这个还是1公里的，在这个有树的地方，这些小区很近的。然后我们这里啊，以后就看年龄了，我就一下高尔夫球场，大家高尔夫啊，这里就是这边是高尔夫场，这里是大电场。然后这里的话是别在这里，
路灯，对，路灯。哦，那个
小孩不用担心，小孩这个我们没有路场。对，小孩子玩的是我们这边哈，12个。里面都有的。
哦，我们可以看一眼吗？
但是现在还没修好，它是土木建设的，然后还有这个也是大学城。
Now, that's the map, so you kind of see the overview and the layout. As you can see, as I've said, it's you see its general location in Zhuhai, and you see the size and scope of this complex. This is not an unusual event. This is not unusual. This is typical. Man, the wind is howling out there. Sorry about that, the audio guys. One day when I get rich and I'll be able to afford a sound studio, we'll do something different. My houses, even though they're expensive, they're not big. I don't have room for that. I won't have a... When I start getting a little bit more money, then I'll do something. Right now, I'm just a regular guy like you guys. So, sorry about the noise and the rain and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, getting back to all this. Now these houses, as I've said and alluded to in my other videos and everything, they're to Chinese standards, not to American standards. Now, China knows American standards because they've built things for America. They've built things for England. They've built things for Europe. They've built things for Saudi Arabia. They know the standards. And when it comes to China, you don't buy or make cheap-ass rubber duckies. Everything is a precision clock, and everything is high quality. To give you an example, I've got they have the display here of the windows, and you'll see the components of the windows. They're robust aluminum, well anodized, with a very elaborate mechanism for locking and closing. They're soundproof. Then you see the conventional lower grade Chinese windows, also aluminum. It's kind of what I have in this house right here. They work, they're better, they're more robust than what you would see in, say, the United States, but they're not as high quality. And then what you get in the United States is vinyl. The windows are made out of plastic. They're all made out of vinyl. Oh, I've talked to some salesmen and they're saying, well, the reason why people use vinyl in the United States is because of temperature cycling. People, you want to talk about temperature cycling, you need to talk about China, because China's temperatures do cycle. But it's just an excuse. Just to justify cheaper material selection and what goes in American houses. American houses, for the most part, is if you go to all the McMansions, it's a flat farmland with a cement slab, 2x4 wood frame, cased with very, very cheap particle board and overlaid with a facade. Inside is just drywall and roof. That's it. No wonder tornadoes tear the damn thing apart. I'm in the middle of a typhoon, people, and nothing is moving, just making a lot of howling noises. Chinese things are made to last if you're in China. Basically, it's Solid cement and stone construction, all reinforced with rebar. Windows are robust, doors are robust. They're made out of aluminum or steel. They're faced with real stone floors, stone walls. This is typical, normal in China. But the houses are more expensive, and because you're paying for community, you're paying for police, you're paying for security guards, you're paying for maid service throughout the complex to take care of the groundswork and the flowers and the trees and the parks that are all there. And you're paying for the elementary school and the middle schools that are situated inside the complex. Excuse me. Middle schools are outside the complex. Elementary schools are inside the complex, and the kindergartens inside the complex. Let's go have a look-see here at the windows as a good example, okay? There's so many things that I can talk about with China, but I'm going to point this one out. This is about windows. This is a Chinese window. You hear any sounds? That's what I've said all along, that in China, the quality is so much better. Here is Chinese window quality. Here's the basic window quality in China. And in America, it's made out of vinyl. It's not aluminum. Now, of course, why you can say this and do all this stuff, you may want to know exactly what this place and all these places look like, and I am going to show you right now. These are some videos that I've taken of the area. As you can see, it's all under construction. About half the things you're seeing is not of the complex itself outside there. It's just neighboring areas that are all under construction. Everything should be fully built in 3 years. We ended up with a great opportunity. We paid 2.7 plus around 3 million for this place, where we're looking at 3 years, probably its value going to be around 3.5 million for starters. So it's a good investment. We're pretty jazzed about it. When you look in these houses, or when you look at the tours, the videos that I made some videos, and I also filmed some of their promotional videos, so you can watch them. Just check them all out, okay? We'll just string them together. I want you to understand that these are promotional, the dummy rooms. Like, there's 3 styles of apartments. They're all populated with, furnishings and everything. And that's pretty standard in the United States as well, in China and Europe. You put furniture and paintings here to make the rooms look nice. Basically, it's unfurnished places, just with the stone motifs and the windows and everything. It's up to us to put our own personal furniture in. If I'm going to be paying a couple of $1 million, to buy a house, I sure as hell want to have new furniture. Okay. And so that's on my list. We're going to buy a car, actually, because we're moving to Zhongshan, have to go back and forth. And I decided, okay, let's hold off on buying a car and let's buy a house instead. My Christmas. Whoever figures I'd be talking about multi-million-dollar home purchases in China, for God's sakes. This is something that's beyond my comprehension. You're talking to a guy who's lived in a mobile home almost for decades in the United States. I grew up in Little East Brady, coal mining area, steel and coal. And while I rented houses and rented apartments, I could never really afford a house. America's a land with 1 million tiny hands in your wallet. Those things add up, guys. You want to know why your hairdresser costs so much? Well, they have to pay for licensing fees. You want to know why nobody fishes very much? Well, you got to have a fishing license. What's going on here? 1 million tiny hands in your wallets. Everybody. And it's not just that there's fees, to monitor these processes, but there's so many leeches that are just sucking the blood out of these organizations. They don't do anything. They just suck the money out. So anyways, I'm going to string a bunch of these videos together. You're going to watch them now. And what I did, of course, is I filmed a couple of the rooms, and I just filmed stuff that's going on, the salesmen, the sales chicks, my little kid's running around. You'll probably see her in here. It's really hard to keep her focused. She's only 3, for God's sakes. And you see some of the environment. And just want you to watch. What you're going to watch here, as you watch, I want you to keep in mind, this is everywhere in China. Everywhere. It's not just in the Guangzhou corridor. It's everywhere. It's in Wenzhou. It's outside of Shanghai. It's near Beijing. It's near Guangzhou. It's near Harbin. It's near Heilongjiang. It's near Kunming. It's everywhere in China. All those people talking about the poor, concentration camps of Uyghur Muslims, the narrative that Mike Pompeo and Donald Trump and Biden and Biden, whatever the fuck, this drug, cocaine addicted Fuar Dai thinks. It's everywhere. These are the houses the Muslims live in, guys. And they deeply resent this onslaught of propaganda against them. But that's another story for another time. Which reminds me, Fuar Dai. Fuar Dai is a super rich Chinese kid. Their parents became super millionaires, and they are just spoiled brats. They're called the Fuar Dai. And when they grow old, there are Guanar Dai. They just are self-centered, egotistical people that are used to making a demand and it coming to them. Guanar Dai. And when I explained this to some friends of mine, I says the best way to understand the United States is to understand that you're not dealing with normal people like you and me. You're dealing with Fuar Dais. You're dealing with Guanar Dais. You're dealing with people who got to positions because of their parents, who didn't have to study but got A's because of their parents, who always had everything handed to them and their decisions had no consequences because they always were able to be pulled out of it. They're the ones that's causing the ruckus in the world right now. But anyways, that's another subject for another time. Let's go look at some of the houses, okay? Bathroom's not that big. Okay. Little hallway. Yeah, I do too.
I like 115. 115 is more like our style.
Yeah, 96 is a little small.
96 without the study.
Yeah, without the study.
115, we got a
I study in the living room.
Yeah, and those spare room, it's fine.
Yeah. I think we can probably swing 115.
115 is around 20 square meter more.
20 square meter more.
1 square meter at 30,000. You think about it. It's around
600,000.
500,000.
And yeah, so those are some of the houses, and you saw my kid running around, and you see some stuff here. You see a little bit of the other side of MM here. Like I said, guys, I am just a guy like you. If I was in the United States, it would be a completely different situation. But I'm doing better in China because it's not being run by four guys. They're not being run by pampered rich kids. Their idea of hard work is playing tennis at the club. Okay? And this is what China looks like. This is where I'm moving to, or will be moving to eventually one of these days, as soon as they finish building the house. And that's what happens, you buy it when it's under construction. It's physically there. And so you get the cheap rates. And as expensive as this house was for me, once it's fully completed, its value will be much greater. So it's an investment property. But I'm looking upon it more as a functional property. It's a place to live where my kid can go to school and be around other kids that are studying. That's what we want from our progeny, don't you? Don't you want to have a good, healthy, nice environment? So this is a kind of Mayberry RFD on steroids, if you can imagine that. Imagine Mayberry RFD where everything is brand new, spick and span, and computerized and electronic with robots and social scanning and all kinds of stuff going on. That's sort of like Jetsons meet Mayberry RFD in China, and that's reality. And you'd think I'd be jazzed about this, because buying a house, woo 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 woo. Actually, I'm not. I'm a little worn out by it because got to make more money. To support this. That's the way life is, isn't it? You want a new car? Make some money. You want a house? Make some more money. You want a new piece of furniture? Make some more money. The entire time, you're maintaining a standard of living while you're also saving up some money for future events. So it's as the breadwinner in the house. Now, some of you might be upset about that, but you shouldn't be upset about that. In my household, yeah, well, it looks like I'm buying another house. I'm just buying a house right now. It's in building 10. There's this. It's here. This is the bridge here to Shenzhen. This is the bridge to Hong Kong. This is where I'm at right now. And this is where my house I'm moving to next month is. And so we'll probably move into this in a year or something like that, I guess. I don't know. It's a pretty good investment. See this big map of all these buildings? It's all under construction. All of it. It's growing like crazy. Yeah. Everything's under construction here, as you can plainly see. When you see clusters like this in China that's under construction, I can guarantee that within 3 years this will be a bustling brand new city. What a lousy day. It's overcast because we're having a typhoon. It's going to hit us tomorrow. This is tiny Zhuhai. That's, not much of anything. Yeah, the air is all moist. There's going to be a typhoon, I'll tell you. It's Zhuhai. We're right in the nexus of Hong Kong and Macau. And this is the complex. They have these complexes all over China. They all look sort of like this. This is the complex downtown in Gongbei. That's the Gongbei complex. And there's a complex up the street. This is where I kind of live right now. It's right here, near the Fishing Girl and the bridge and the Opera House. This is where I live right now. Incidentally, I got a boat project coming on. Funny thing, I didn't mention that. The guy wants me to, he's a guy from New York City. He wants me to manage a building of a boat in Zhuhai here. So far it looks pretty positive. Hopefully it is. I told Mike, my chief engineer, that we'll have to go on sea trials. He laughed. But yeah, these houses are nice. This is kind of what the house looks like. Without furniture, obviously. But I do like the guys being attractive and holding wine glasses. I hate the colors. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is more my speed. Wine glasses everywhere. Woo!
里面都有的。
我们可以看一眼吗？
但是现在还没说好，它是土木建设的，然后还有这个也是大学产，就是你以后。
它可能会刺激几口盐水的话。
Looks good. That's bacon or pig belly. Neil row, it's beef.
早饭是第一个点的。
It's good. Now, I run a very traditional household. I make the money. My wife handles all domestic issues. She makes sure that I'm fed. I give her all my money, and she then invests the money, plans on how to use it, and all this. For me, as a guy, it's easier for me. I don't worry about finances at all. She gives me a little bit money as a stipend in my electronic wallet. That's all I need. If I need more, I say, honey, I need more. She gives it to me. It works out fine. She's in control of her future. She's in control of our present. She's 100% control in the finances. She's in control of the budget, so it's a lot less stress on her. She knows where the money's coming and whatever, and where it's going. So I do my part, she does her part. It works out fine. It's not for everybody, but if it was good enough for my great-grandparents, it's good enough for me. Now, my grandparents and my parents were very progressive. About 1913, they started seeing, well, the man must be in charge of everything and all this other kind of stuff. The progressive idea of utopia was a fiasco, and it started with the tomato, but don't get me started on the cardboard tomatoes right now. If you like heirloom tomatoes, then you will love a traditional way of managing a household. But that's another story. And by the way, if you're a same-sex couple, it doesn't matter. If one person does domestic, one person makes income. If you're transgender, LGBT, I don't know, whatever that alphabet is, and you call yourself a thing or a what is or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're always part of a community, right? A family. One person has this role, another person has that role, and if you're into complex family arrangements where instead of 2 people, it's 4 or 5, it's like a commune kind of thing where one person does one thing, another person does another thing. You just divvy up responsibilities, and those persons have 100% absolute control over their areas of responsibilities. That's how it works. But anyways, that's me getting off a subject here about how I manage things. And to be honest with you, I'm glad my wife is handling finances, because I would completely suck at it. I am terrible with money, bad luck, easily to be squandered with and cheated out of and misplaced and all kinds of stuff. So I don't deal with money. Nothing's in my name. And I'm just peachy clean with that. But of course, many of you think that I'm nuts. I know, I get the emails all the time in the comments thinking about how bad I am. I know. Of course, y'all don't give me alternatives. You're not telling me why I should be doing things differently. The superiority of this other system that you so advocate voraciously, right? That's what it is. Okay, so that's my little spiel. That's what the story is over here in the houses. That's what it's like over here in China, guys. For those of you who are still hearing about people screaming and tired of wearing masks and stuff, it's still a manufactured narrative. People live with masks. Zero COVID policy is in place, and everybody wears masks. You don't go anywhere without masks. QR scanning for everything and entering this complex. I had to go through 3 checkpoints just to enter the complex. QR scan. I just hold up my phone, go choop. They see my scan. They just scan it. They scan my body. And the robots, the flying robot drones go. Yeah, it's really like a scene from some kind of science fiction movie. It is. And as you can see, what I haven't covered is stuff that's pretty typical. The high-speed rail, it connects everywhere. The nice, beautiful ferry ports, and all this other stuff. These are things for other videos, as well as things regarding the schools here, what it's like for elementary and kindergarten schools. I've showed you a few things before, because military training starts in 1st grade. So, the cute little kids, they wear their little uniforms and they call out roll call and they're so into it. I just love it. Yeah, and I know some people hate to see that. They think that the discipline is wrong because you should be freewheeling and having fun and carefree. I understand that. It's the hippie movement. How's this free, loving, carefree environment doing for you? But I gotta tell you something. I am seriously, my attitude and opinion of the United States is actually climbing after its depths. I'm going to tell you that. It makes me feel good and warm inside. For decades, I hated to see the erosion of traditional values in the United States. And I just left. I couldn't handle it anymore, and it just got worse and worse and worse. I thought it couldn't get any worse until I just saw society completely break down. American society doesn't exist. And it's just one death blow after the other. People come to Congress and Senate and just don't do anything. Even just this last period of time, all the senators are voting for red flag laws. People, unless you know, red flag laws is an assault on habeas corpus. Habeas corpus is the bedrock of law. It means you must commit a crime first. Then you have to go through a process to determine what happens next. Red flag law says we don't need that. We just make an accusation, and this is what happens. And they're actually, doing this. I'm like, oh fuck. And then suddenly, like some knight on a horse, the Supreme Court comes on in and say, oh, no, we need to clean up some stuff. We've played these games too far long, and so they're starting to pass all kinds of stuff on a more conservative, traditional bent, and that makes me feel happy. You may disagree that states have rights. You may think that everybody should be able to have abortion on demand and nobody should have guns and all kinds of stuff. Whatever your particular interests are, I don't give a damn. I don't live in the United States, so it doesn't matter. But what does matter is the understanding, people, that the United States is beginning to come back. It's squeaking a little bit like a tiny little mouse, and I really hope that the principles that the United States is founded upon are reinvigorated by these little trends that I'm seeing. I'm going to remain a little hopeful. I'm going to remain hopeful, but I don't know, man. I don't know. United States society is gone. I mean, the horse is dead. I mean, you can put makeup on its face and all that, but it's still a dead horse. The flies are still circling it, so we'll end up in seeing. But anyways, that was it for now, and I'm sorry for my political commentary in the United States here. I just want to tell you that I feel that the United States is beginning to get its act together, and I think that's a very good thing. In the meantime, I'm in China, and China does have its act together, and I think that's a great thing too. And as the world turns and the world spins, we can get rid of the goddamn neocons that want to destroy the entire world, a nuclear holocaust and biological weapons. The world will be a better place. But right now, they still exist, and they're still in positions of power. And until they are dead, we still have their threats. But not to worry, because they're smarter and more capable and more talented people that are opposing them. And at that, people, I just hope that you find your own way in your society and in your family, however it may be. My life is not your life. The way I do things is not the way you should do things. Lord help me, you don't want to be me. You want to be you. And the way you do things, I think, Jesus, man, I think they're great. I think they're great. The reports I get from people who are in Australia, who are over in Eastern Europe, the ones who are in South America, the ones that are in, I hear, from what you're hearing, it sounds like you guys are doing really good. Keep it up. Don't stop. You're doing something great. And I believe in you, and I believe in what you're able to do. So keep on, keep on, keep on. And that's what I have to say. And I want you to know, there might be people who are going to come up to you, and they're going to say, I disagree on what you're doing, and I think you're crazy, and I think you're stupid, and I think this, and I think that. And I'm here to tell you right now that I, for one person, believe in you. Nobody knows your situation but you. Nobody knows. They don't know your situation. Even I don't know your situation. But I know you're not an imbecile. And I know you're not stupid. So I know that you're doing exactly what you need to do given your exact situation right now. And I want you to know something. I believe that you're doing the right thing. I really do. And for whatever it's worth, I believe in you. Yes, I do. I believe in you. Keep on keeping on.
忽然之间的换季，还没准备好心意，一个人拖行李无奈没关系。暴风雨已经免疫，恋爱是逆反心理，奔躁人生活也难躲避。风吹走一半，剩下的风令人惊讶。你历经值得冷漠，脸红后也轻叹而下。像一直关心表演面无表情，生人勿近，找个舒适的尴尬，大声却有共鸣。不知不觉谈天说地，并肩走了全800里，像落叶起地，声痛之恋，爱勾起满个讯号，容量不懂思考，沿着无限，难道一人到老？这会祈祷，心愿情无预告，黑屏来电，转身不敢逃跑，无数叙事场景，无言却难言的笑意，无力故事的记忆，就是你。热烈的不想告白，画上爱心的球拍，心动轻狂进鸡蛋，却不说明白，各自担心着失态，会做饭不会恋爱，说不出的夏天一起看海，素白色的季节里，第6也能找回盛夏，是风中青涩萌芽，下决心一起走路回家。一直关心表演面无表情，生人勿近，这个舒适的尴尬，大声却有共鸣。不知不觉谈天说地，并肩走了全800里，像落叶起地，声痛之恋，爱勾起满个讯号，容量不够思考，沿着无限，难道一人到老？这会祈祷，心愿情无预告，黑屏来电，转身不敢逃跑，无数叙事场景，无言却难言的笑意，无力故事的记忆，只是你。满个讯号，一口足够